guys, welcome back to our channel. We are a secular, eclectic homeschooling family in the state of Florida. We currently have one 7-year-old that we are homeschooling for his first grade slash half of kindergarten year. We ended up putting our son into public school back in April and it just didn't work out for us. So we are stepping back and going back to homeschooling. So what I'm here today to share is just some information on the types of curriculum that we're planning on using for the summer and for the fall 2022-2023 school year with how we're going to utilize those. So if you'd like to see more, be sure to stick around and we will get right into it. When we started homeschooling back at the beginning of May, we had what we thought was a great plan in mind that would work amazing for our family. However, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, those things do change. As you find new resources, you find new curriculums and new ways to do things, sometimes the old systems that you had just didn't work. So we are planning on changing up the curriculum that we are using. So we originally were using Blossom and Root Year 1, and our plan was to utilize that in its entirety and use all of the subjects, and then just supplement with Singapore math for our math curriculum. As we were going through it, it felt a little bit too gentle, I would say, for our family. And while I do love the gentle aspect of a lot of these homeschool curriculums, my son is 7 years old and I feel like we're a little bit behind because of COVID and then also moving. So I wanted to try something that's a little bit more intensive, but not too structured. So we have been looking for curriculums to kind of see what we liked, what we disliked, and what we've come across is the Build Your Library curriculum. So when I was looking through it, I absolutely loved the literature-based learning. I loved the amount of books that we were reading. I loved everything about it. But I noticed that they do start with ancient history for grade 1 or level 1. And we haven't really had a good basis, in my opinion, of even geography at this point. So what we've decided to do is we are planning on taking the Build Your Library level 0, which covers a lot of geography, a lot of countries, and utilizing that over the summer. So we have combined or condensed 30 weeks of that curriculum down to about 15 or 16 weeks to use over the next couple months through September. Now, the way that we're doing that is I am not condensing the entire curriculum. That would be an insane 15 weeks. So what we are planning on doing is just utilizing the literature, the geography, and the poetry. And we are just leaving everything else out until we start the fall school year. So halfway point, we are going to begin implementing the Build Your Library prehistory unit study. Now, I wanted to do that as well because before we really jump into ancient history, I really do think we need a basis of kind of the prehistory. So about halfway through this summer, we are going to also implement that. So we'll be doing level 0 from Build Your Library and their prehistory units over this summer. Now, when we step into the fall, what our plan is that we would like to utilize Build Your Library as our base. So we're looking at their level 1 curriculum to be our base curriculum. And when I say that, what I mean is utilizing most of the literature, if not all of it, the poetry, some of the history, and then utilizing Torchlight level 1 for the history and also pulling some of their literature books just as they kind of match up with the units from Build Your Library. Now, the reason that we are doing that is we currently own Curiosity Chronicles. And I know that Build Your Library, unfortunately, does not utilize Curiosity Chronicles. So Torchlight does. We would like to try Curiosity Chronicles. We've purchased it. I want to see if it's a good fit for our family. And then we can always change over to History Quest or something like that if Curiosity Chronicles, for some reason, just doesn't work out for us. And we also will be utilizing the art and music study from Torchlight. I really, really like their art and music for level 1. I appreciate that it kind of goes over opera and things that most children wouldn't necessarily seek out, but I do think it is an important part of any sort of art and music study. So we will use that from Torchlight. And then, like I said, we'll use their history to just kind of pull with Curiosity Chronicles. Now, science is a little different. For science, we plan on using the level 0 scientific connections through inquiry. The reason for that is I really like that it does cover more of the actual basis of science. So it covers a lot of information that I really think you would need to know as you kind of move up into those higher levels of science. With that said, I also have a 7-year-old who is very interested in the human body. And it just so happens that Torchlight's Level 1 Science has a very, very detailed explanation and study of the human body. So even though we will be using the SCI curriculum for the majority of the science, I do plan on utilizing a lot of the resources from Torchlight for their human body portion of science. And we're just going to kind of mesh those as it feels natural, and hopefully that will work out. Of course, I'm combining a lot of curriculums, and if it becomes too much for myself or my son, we have no problem dropping something and just picking back up with what we originally were going to use. I don't have a problem with that, and I do think that that is something that will happen, but I do want to be optimistic going into it that maybe we could combine all these curriculums and have a really smooth school year and have no problems, but I understand like that's not always the case. Now, as for the last part of what we will be doing, we have been back and forth on math. We originally right now have Singapore math, and I do like it. I think it is a very, very strong math curriculum. However, I do think it's a little bit too much math for a first grader. Now, let me explain. When I say that, it's very heavy on adding, subtracting, multiplication, division, things that they need to know. And that's why I do plan on continuing to utilize Singapore math as kind of a check. Are you learning what we're supposed to be learning? Are you retaining the information? However, it doesn't really teach other vital information such as how to read a clock, temperatures, counting in twos, things like that that I feel are very important. What our plan is to actually use the Good and the Beautiful Level 1 math. I know there's been some controversy around the Good and the Beautiful. Personally, we are not religious, but when I've reviewed their math curriculum, I don't see really any religious input into the math. There's some stories about God, but that's not anything that we're necessarily opposed to personally. The reason I really like the Good and the Beautiful math is I really, really like that it is a colorful curriculum. Singapore is very much black and white. And while my son does okay with it, I don't feel that he's necessarily enthusiastic to do it. So I really like that it's a colorful curriculum that kind of draws kids in. I like that there's games that are included that you can utilize the manipulatives with. And I think that that will kind of build some excitement for the math, which I just think is really critical at this stage, because if you're not excited about math, you're not going to do well in math. So we are planning on using the Good and the Beautiful, and hopefully I will have that in hand later this summer to utilize for the fall. So when I originally thought to combine all of these curriculums and kind of pull and take from what we want, I thought, how in the world am I going to, number one, do that, number two, keep track of it, and number three, plan it? So what my plan is, I have done the summer with the condensing of Build Your Library Level 0 and prehistory. That's all completed. I put it all into a Google Sheets spreadsheet for right now because it's such a short period. I just don't feel like I need any of the teacher manuals printed out or anything like that. It's so short, I think I can just do that through PDFs. For the fall, my plan is to go through and read all of the different units and figure out where are these units going to match up, and try to create a plan for what would be most cohesive for learning, what would make the most sense. Once I've done that plan, I actually plan on creating my own book, if you will, where I write out the information of what we will be doing every day, very similar to a teacher's guide, but combining everything. So for week 1, I may have information of these days. We're going to do this from Build Your Library, this from Torchlight, and then we're going to do this with Blossom and Root for nature study, but then we're going to jump over here. And my plan is to basically write my own teacher manual and then just have it printed through Barnes & Noble Press or something like that. And I do think that's going to make it easier for myself and my husband when we are looking at what the plan is for the week or the day, and we're not having to flip through 6 different teacher manuals. And I know that that's going to be very time intensive. So I do plan on starting that sometime in June to hopefully get ahead of it, have it all done by August, and then I know what we're doing in September. I'm more than happy to do a screen recording of kind of like how I plan everything digitally and how I set it up for hopefully success. Because I do use a paper planner as well. I'm a paper planner addict, but I do not want to plan that far ahead on paper because I know things will change. So I will definitely be doing it digitally first and then kind of weekly going through my planner and just writing everything in because I think that is a lot safer than having to erase things every single week as they change. So that is our plan for what we are doing for the summer and the fall. And like I said, I'm definitely going to be doing more videos kind of outlining how we're doing it and the planning of it and everything like that. And if you guys would like to see that, definitely don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and then turn on notifications so that way you guys are notified when I do upload those new videos. And I wanted to thank you guys for watching and best of luck on your school years. Bye.